actually people who are disenfranchised from society. There are a lot of studies that have been released in the last decade that show that there's clearly a difference in terms of social integration between people who have broadband and people who don't. There are lots of reasons for that, but one of them is that, again, if you are connected to the network, you have access to resources, you have access to culture, you have access to education, you have access to employment in a way that you do not have if you're not connected. So if I postulate that connectivity will be available everywhere, then it will also be available to these people. And I agree that the social models to make that work still have to be designed. But the benefits are considerable. We need to ensure through the network that there is an inclusion into society, even if socially a given area, rundown area, the people don't have a lot of contact with the outside. Well, they will through the network. Help them back into employment by better exposure to information, to culture, to education, and to society through the social link, and also, one of the important aspects is that a lot of voluntary work into the socially disenfranchised is limited by the geographical factor. If these people have the network, think about it. You can do voluntary education to disenfranchised kids through the network much easier, and it can come from anywhere. If I want to give French lessons, I'm French by the way, if I want to give French lessons to kids in a rundown part of Africa and they have the network, I can do that. It's just a matter of me spending the time to do it, but there's no geographical issue anymore. So I think ubiquity is a crucial impact of social integration. It has a crucial impact on social integration, And finally, the environmental aspect is also very important. And again, Rodolfo touched on this quite a bit. But if we can reduce the need for traveling, and I think that the next generation networks we're starting to see emerging are a crucial component of that. First of all, because they will be designed with energy efficiency in mind from day one, which was never the case of our previous network. And also because they will allow, again, this geographical constraint to disappear. There's a very interesting phenomenon if you think about it. If you can, let's say you take a city like Lisbon, and you were to find a way that every worker would work from home 1 day a week. The mathematical equation is you would say, well, I'll take 20% of the cars off the road and I'll save 20% on carbon emissions. Actually, you would save a lot more than that. Why? Because if you take 20% of the cars off the road, you fluidify the traffic so much that actually people are going to spend less time going to work, they're going to emit less carbon, and therefore the environmental impact will be even higher than that. And when you think about it, 1 day a week doesn't sound like this crazy a dream. So again, I think ubiquity has a great role to play in enhancing the way that we do businesses and that we do our daily activities in order to be more environmental. And this was the rosy tinted view, of course, the very positive view. And I agree that it's not going to happen overnight and it's not going to be that easy. I have 3 key messages that I think need to be in the minds of whoever's thinking about this, both on the public side, the private side, and the individuals. So governments, I think, need to understand that the diversity that will bring richness to the economy in using this ubiquitous networks is in the services. Right now, a lot of governments are focused on getting more telecom infrastructure and competitive telecom infrastructure. I think that's the wrong fight. The right fight is how do we get more services, because that's where the revenues are and that's where the users will find what they want. Also, and this is another key message, is governments tend to think that privacy is good to protect at face value, but really there's so much potential in advertising that, let's not protect it too much. I think it's crucial that privacy rights are defended by governments more than by anyone else. And the reason is that if people are cautious about the network, if they are weary of people tracking what they do, we won't reap the whole benefits of this, because they won't embrace it in the same way that they can if they think they are secure there. Businesses need to embrace the potential of this IT transformation. And to be honest, it's something they haven't done so much. Businesses are very conservative. We're in a period right now where you're only going to be ahead in the game if you're willing to take risks. And I think that's one of these risks. You have to embrace the potential, even if we don't know exactly how everything is going to play out. And the other thing is, you have to make sure that you don't try to squeeze your employees through IT as much as you can. We all know about crackberries. We all know about the pressure from the employer that comes from being connected all the time. I think employers have to understand that they won't get their employee loyalty and the whole benefits if that's the attitude that they take. And finally, for individuals, there's two messages again. The first one is that I think as individuals, we have to accept that not everything can be free. This last decade has been really cool. Free music, free video, free everything on the net. But the reality is, if we go like that for another decade, it's going to be free nothing, because there's no longer going to be any money in the business models to actually finance creation of anything. So I think as individuals, we have to accept that even if in the past we thought we were being ripped off by businesses, in the future we have to accept that there has to be some form of remuneration. And the second thing is, as individuals, we have to be a lot more vocal about wanting to access the network and wanting to control the way in which we access the network. Right now, I see very few countries where consumer associations have taken this topic and carry it forward. I think this needs to happen. And that's my message. It's a long road, but I hope we're going to get there by 2020. Thank you very much.